Getting my new implants had a significant, viable effect on my overall health.
When Duncan got dental implants 4 years ago, he thought he was just changing his smile. But what happened next? Well, today he's here to reveal the biggest change in his health that no one saw coming.
Including my doctors.
Okay, Duncan, before we can understand this big unexpected change that you experienced with your health after getting dental implants, first tell me the kinds of problems you were dealing with in your dental health before surgery. And were there other treatments or fixes that you first tried before getting your dental implants?
Sure. I didn't go to the dentist as a child. My parents didn't do that. So whatever was going on as a kid and adolescent, we just dismissed it. By the time I became an adult, what I began to see was I was having toothaches and, again, had no frame of reference to why or what those were about. Finally went to a dentist in my mid-20s and found out that I had teeth that were infected. That meant a root canal. So I became very familiar in my 20s with the sticking of the needles to deaden the tooth, the taking all the infection out, getting a crown put on the tooth, and walking out believing, okay, now the problem is solved. Of course, what I learned pretty quickly was until the next tooth did the same thing. And so that's been my experience prior to Nuvia. I had 15 root canals as an adult, and I had a few teeth pulled because after the root canal, they broke, the teeth did, and so they just decided that they needed to be removed too. And so I lost a handful of teeth that way. And each time I went, looking back on this, when I left the dentist, I was good. I thought, okay, the problem's solved, and let's just get on with life.
Just like this, we went in, we had the treatment, we're moving on. Like, look, don't even need to look back until, right?
Absolutely. And that was just repetitive. Right before Nuvia, I hadn't been to the dentist in several years, and I finally went back to a new one. She did the exam, looked at everything, and said, I've got 1.5 years worth of dental work to get your teeth where they need to be. And she didn't tell me what they need. I pretty well knew what the problem was, been there for a long time. It was the 1.5 years notion that I thought to myself, that just isn't going to happen. I am not going to go to a dentist another 1.5 years and have done what I've already had done for decades, quite frankly. That, to me, was classic dentist responses to tooth problems.
Well, we're here today, Duncan, to hear about a really big health change that you experienced, maybe even many changes that you experienced after getting dental implants. And before we get to that, I have to ask you, when you think back to that time, beyond just your dental health, what other health issues were you struggling with?
I did experience other health issues, and one of those happened to be a stroke. So off to the hospital I go. While I'm in the hospital, I was in the hospital for, I think, 5 days, I got sepsis.
Oh, no.
They had no idea where that came from. I had no idea. It was just putting the dots together that was a real challenge for everybody. Why in the world did this happen here and there?
Wow. And that happened before getting your dental implants?
Happened 2 years before I got my dental implants. It sure did. And another thing I was dealing with at that time before getting my implants was I was having skin infections. The name of it is cellulitis. And it came and went.
Wow. So not only does it sound like you were dealing with poor dental health, but it really does sound like your whole body may have gotten to like a breaking point, huh?
That's what I was thinking as well. And again, part of the dynamic for me was not having the notion to or the ability to connect the dots. It went along for the longest time. If I was taking that to my primary care doc, they weren't at that time necessarily putting the dots together either.
So you decided to move forward with getting dental implants. You said dentures were not an option for you. I know a lot of people have fears or concerns, whether it's the timeline or the cost or the process itself. So what or who really helped you feel comfortable moving forward with getting dental implants?
Well, the most important thing for me was the 24 hours. Again, I just come from a new dentist that said the next year and a half, she would be working in my mouth to make things better versus Nuvia saying, we'll do this in 24 hours. We're going to take care of this, and you will no longer have to do this bouncing around game. We'll take care of it, and frankly, we'll take care of it in 24 hours. Everything I was told was absolutely what happened. And I'm an old guy. I had not gone through life with that scenario happening very often. So, again, it just reinforced that I'm in the right place. This doctor, everything she said to me was true. The staff was kind and considerate, and I sit here 4 years later with a great set of teeth. I never smiled. If I smiled like that because I didn't want to show it. I've had a beard since I was in my 20s. I never put together the notion that I wonder if my beard was hiding these terrible teeth. And when I look back on it, it's the duh of the conversation. So
Yeah.
I never thought about that until really 2 or 3, 4 years ago that made that connection, but absolutely. And now I don't want to get rid of it. I just like to smile over it because, again, in my line of work, I've been a minister and I've been a therapist. So I was always in front of people talking. And I just learned how to do what I needed to do and move on. If my family wanted family pictures for holidays, nope, I'm in the back, either covered or I'm not smiling. And so all of a sudden, a new world opens up when I walk into the Nuvia office. And here I sit today, 4 years later.
Now, before we get to the biggest change in your health that you experienced after getting dental implants, did you notice any smaller initial changes in your dental health or your overall health just from having your teeth pulled, that infection cleared out, and your new smile put in? What did you experience initially?
The first thing I noticed when I got my teeth was this went away.
Ooh, and for those of you listening on the audio podcast, he just put his hand in front of his mouth, meaning no more covering your mouth.
I could laugh. I could belly laugh with my mouth open. And I hadn't done that in 30, 40 years because it just, those teeth were so crummy, I wasn't going to show anybody. And so that just gave an immediate response of confidence that, again, I had no focus on. I didn't realize I was lacking confidence in those. This, putting my hand on over my mouth, just was. I had taken any emotion out of the picture. I love smiling now. If somebody said, oh, well, let's take a picture. All righty, let's do it. I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
With a big smile.
Absolutely.
Wow. So immediately there was this boost in your confidence, which attributed to your mental health, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
How did your wife react to your new teeth, and how did that make you feel?
She loved it, but she would often look at me like, who are you and what have you done with my husband? Because my mannerisms had changed so much. And so I've never had a problem being in front of people. That's what I've done my whole life. But to have the joy go with it and her joy for that. My wife is soft-spoken. She's quiet. She's never going to be in the front of the crowd. But I just knew that what I had said to her to start, that she gave the okay for, had actually happened. And she just let me know what a wonderful change that was for me. So I got a pretty good
Wow.
wife.
Sounds like it. And hey, if you're dealing with some of the struggles that Duncan faced, a good first step is finding out what dental implants could cost you. Just download the free dental implant cost guide. It's linked below. Okay, so let's talk about the biggest change that you experienced after getting your dental implants.
What I noticed, and again, it took me a little time because I'm just a routine person. I just do whatever the routine is. And as it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I haven't had an infection. I haven't had a pain. And I would go to my wife, and again, she's a nurse, so she can dialogue with me about it. And it took a little while longer than I would have liked. It was just ongoing that the things I'd been dealing with forever, it seemed like, no longer existed. And that just frankly brought a smile to my face every time that notion popped in my head. The skin infections that I had gone through for really a long time, all of a sudden was no longer there. And again, I'm kind of slow at times. And so I didn't put it together. But when I finally did, it was like, oh my goodness, that pain, that frustration, that interference with life no longer was going on. And so all of a sudden, my little brain says, well, that's pretty cool, Duncan. Tap yourself on the head and good job. So that was the way that went. I don't think I ever had an aha moment, but just the subtlety of that settling into, my gosh, for 4 years, I've not had the slightest infection that was commonplace for me before getting my new teeth.
So what you're saying is some of the health issues that you experienced when you had a mouthful of infected teeth, a mouthful of root canals, those issues haven't come back for you now 4 years later, right? Since having your beautiful new dental implants.
That's right. For 4 years, I've not had to go to a doctor about any sickness, any infection. Nothing has happened in that 4-year period that was normal for me. When whatever was wrong before I got my new teeth, when it got painful, I went to the doctor. I've not had pain in 4 years. And quite frankly, I'm old enough that pain's kind of what goes on with life in your 70s. And so I'm just thankful that, again, I went to a place that was so honest and real for me that I believed them, and that place was Nuvia. Here's one of the things that I love going to Nuvia and just saying hi back there. I can't imagine walking into a dentist office that I've been at before and say, listen, I just had some time off and I just thought I'd come by and chat with you. I'll see how you're doing. It's home. And again, a benefit that I never even thought about when I made the decision to go to Nuvia.
So looking back, do you think that your teeth could have been the cause of some of the health problems you were experiencing?
Well, initially, what I found after I got my teeth, of course, I walk into my doctor's office for a checkup of whatever, and he noticed my teeth and commented, and of course, I'm feeling proud and all that. That prompted my conversation with him about the issue of, could my infections over my body, is there any connection to my teeth being so infected? And his response was, there's a lot of data coming out that's really validating and verifying that infections in teeth really have the ability to go through your entire body and cause the same kinds of infections. It really made me feel so good to have my doctor verify that he thought that what I had been dealing with really was the actual event that took place. I was clearing up the infections, and that was his belief as well. Going to Nuvia and getting my new implants really has had a significant, viable effect on my overall health. I feel better today than I had in the years prior to getting my implants. And at the time, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know this existed. So this is a real blessing to be where I'm at today with my pretty smile and my dental implants.
Well, I have two important questions I have to ask. What would you say to somebody who's listening or watching today who might also be in their 70s, heck, maybe in their 80s, thinking, nah, like I'm already at this stage in my life, it's not worth it. What would you say to somebody who maybe is at the same chapter in life that you're at right now? You just got these done 4 years ago. Is it ever too late to make a big change like this?
You know, one of the things I love about this is I'm 72, so I've had my teeth since I was 68, and I want to say to folks in my age range and even older, if you've gone through a big portion of your life with bad teeth or no teeth, struggling with just surviving, as it were, I couldn't tell you strongly enough that the decision to take care of yourself, you're worth it. And you're worth it enough to go to a Nuvia office and just talk with them about what's going on with your history of dental issues. And doesn't matter what age you are. In the last 4 years, these teeth have made my life so remarkably better. I can't imagine anybody not wanting to do that. And if I could give you a big hug and encourage you, I'd do that in a heartbeat.
That's wonderful advice. Just taking that next step and talking with somebody can open up a whole new world of opportunity, right? To fix what's been broken for many years and avoid this Band-Aid approach, this patchwork of work that takes a lot of time and something that you went through. Now, I know there's people who also worry maybe they can't afford something like dental implants. I would love to ask you if you're open to sharing, how were you able to afford dental implants? And ultimately, was it worth it?
You know, one of the struggles that most of us have, and I'm like most people, is how am I going to be able to pay for this, knowing that this is such a remarkable opportunity? It's different from my lifetime of Band-Aid approach dentistry, where I'd go with the problem, I'd pay whatever they told me to. And so when I got to Nuvia and understood what they were offering, I wasn't going to have to continue to go back time and time again. Nuvia gave me an all-inclusive figure. I was offered numerous ways of paying for this. I understood, and what I'm thankful for is my wife understood that I was worth being able to spend that money. What she said was, if this is what you want to do, let's go for it. And so for me, those words meant I'm special enough for her to invest this. And I think that's the struggle for so many folks is they've helped other people in their family and friends, and they just don't think they're worthy of that kind of investment in themselves. And I'm telling you, I'm not worth a lick, but I'm worth the investment because of the people I know and love and that know and love me. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, wouldn't even hesitate.
Well, Duncan, how can people find out how much payment plans might cost them?
Yeah, they can just download the Nuvia Cost Guide.
That's right. And you can find that linked in the description below.